Hello everybody, this is Shadow Coggy coming at you with another YouTube video. I know the last video I said this next video I was going to do was to be a Spider-Man movie ranking video, but some stuff came up in that video, in the making of that video, so I won't be able to get that one out this week, so I figured I would do another superhero themed video for you guys this time around. So this is going to be my top 10 favorite DC heroes, with 2 honorable mentions. And if this video is good enough, I will probably make some more DC stuff. I'm also in the process of making my top 10 favorite Marvel heroes Marvel heroes video. So yeah, we'll see how this one goes and that one goes, and then we can make some decisions from there. Okay, so let's talk about the criteria in which I have assembled my list here on my top 10 favorite DC superheroes. So number one is how I can relate to them. If I can relate to them to their stories, I can relate to their backstory, these sort of stuff. That's kind of how that goes. Number two is how much I've liked them in media I've consumed with them in it. And last but not least, number three is how interesting their powers are, or even their stories, their powers and stories. How interesting that is to add to the character. These are what I find important in comic book heroes, as opposed to how I do my anime stuff. That's a whole different story. So with that being said, let's get moving on to the list. We're going to start with 2 honorable mentions, and these honorable mentions are in order for how much I like them. Exactly, this is how it is. You guys probably see. You guys might even hate the fact that this is where my list is starting, but it's okay. If you guys, don't like my list, don't like what I have to say, the comments. That is a place where you guys can say that sort of stuff. And I can read them and find out, and then maybe you guys can even change my mind a little bit, move these rankings around. But we'll see. We'll go from there. Okay, so my least favorite honorable mention, it's kind of probably one of my least favorite characters in all of comics. But just for the fact what he did for comic books, it makes him have to be on this list. Like, I'm talking about Superman. I've never really found Superman terribly relatable. He's an alien from a different planet. His powers are very straightforward. He's just strong for the sake of being strong. He's invulnerable because, he's invulnerable. And he's supposed to be this godlike character. And then he's got this silly weakness, a rock. It's like, I've never liked it. He's really only here because, without him, the rest of these characters on this list probably wouldn't be here. Even comics, I would say comics as a whole wouldn't be here if it weren't for Superman. Like, the only real comic that I actually ever liked from Superman is The Death of Superman. That was the only one, and that's because he dies. Spoiler alert. So, that's kind of where I'm sitting at with Superman. It's like my only real good thoughts I can say about him is The Death of Superman, that comic, and then the fact that my grandpa used to watch the original 79 Superman 1 and 2 with me when I was a kid. So, that's, I guess, some nostalgia there that kind of gives me a little bit of a thing there. Okay, the next and the final honorable mention is Green Lantern, John Stewart specifically. Yeah, you can see. Maybe you can't see, but I have a fondness for the Justice League Unlimited TV show from the late 90s, early 2000s. That's kind of where I got exposed to a lot of these different characters that were in Batman and Batman's mythos there. So the only reason why I have John Stewart Green Lantern as an honorable mention is I haven't really read any Green Lantern comics at all. I just think his powers kind of interesting. The stronger his will is, the stronger his constructs can be. I think that's kind of a cool type of ability to have. I just haven't read much of his stuff, so I kind of know what I know from the Unlimited TV show with John Stewart. So that's kind of how that goes. But and I'm mostly curious because I've heard a lot of the Green Lantern stories are good, like Blackest Night, that sort of stuff. Those are kind of the things that I have to say about the Green Lantern. So if you guys have some Green Lantern comic book recommendations, hit me up in the comment section. Let me know, and maybe I can check them out. Then maybe he can get up there, because maybe Green Lantern deserves to be one of my more liked characters. Okay, now we're going to move on to number 10. And number 10 is Green Arrow. And the truth is, he's only really on this list because of how much I enjoyed watching the Arrow on the CW. It's like, yes, I know what everyone says about that Arrow. It's like he's more like Batman than he is Arrow. I get that. He's dark, he's broody. But really, Green Lantern, watching, being a comic fan for a long time before I really became an anime fan, I watched the Young Justice and I watched all those comic book cartoon TV shows and stuff. I always thought kind of Green Lantern was more of a joke character. But then I got introduced to the 2-issue miniseries from like the 80s for Green Lantern, Snowbirds Don't Fly. It really showed me that Green Lantern can be more than just a gag character. He's not just a guy shooting arrows around. So, it's like, and also Green Arrow and the Young Justice, from the little you see of him, he does seem like a capable character. So I'm like, for that, I kind of give him props. So he's got a way. I haven't read much of his comics either. So maybe I would like him more if I read more. But, from what I've seen, I like it a lot. I do like him enough to have him at 10 above other characters that I've read more extensively on. Okay, let's move on to something some people may actually have a problem with. So my number 9 is actually Barry Allen, the Flash. He's not my favorite Flash. He's the originator of the Speed Force. So that's kind of that adds the thing. He's without Barry Allen, we wouldn't have Flash as we know him from the Silver Age and onwards. So he's got to be up there. But the reason why Barry Allen is number 9 here is for the simple fact that I did enjoy the CW Flash. It's like, well, at least for the first 6 seasons. Season 7 kind of lost me and I stopped watching. But, he really got me into reading the Flash more. Like, I had known about the Flash, known his abilities. I've read a couple, and I didn't really know exactly which Flash that was at first. And then the more I looked into it, the more I started becoming a big Flash fan. I started realizing there's two different Flashes, and I could make the decision of which one I like more. Barry Allen is just kind of, he happens to be my second favorite Flash. So I do find Barry's motivation extremely compelling, extremely interesting, extremely relatable. Needing to find out who killed your mom instead of your dad and prove your dad is innocent because he didn't do it. That's a very compelling thing to me. So, and Barry and a lot of other media that I've consumed is good too, not just in the CW Flash, but in a lot of the Justice League cartoons. He's good. And even in the Flashpoint Paradox movie that DC did years ago, that one was good. I like that one too. So that really made me enjoy Barry more too. Okay, now let's move on to number 9. My number 9 is Cyborg. I've never been much of how much Cyborg is really just an extra dimensional robot. But in the 2003 Teen Titans show, it did a good job of endearing me to Cyborg's character. The goofiness of it, him and Beast Boy, kind of their friends. And so that's helped me a lot. But I do feel like the Snyder movies hurt him in my mind. It just kind of didn't. I don't feel like it did him justice. Like having him wallowing about losing the ability to play football when he has all this other awesomes. It's like, to me, it just didn't come off as cyborgy enough in those movies. Then again, that's my problem with most of those movies and the characters that are in those movies. So that's that. But maybe I need to read more of a solo series and to get more of an appreciation of the character. Maybe even the solo series will make me understand why he is like he is in the Snyder movies. I don't know. But once again, if you guys have any comic book recommendations, comments that I can maybe read, maybe like your favorite character more, if Cyborg is your favorite character. Okay, moving on to number 7. Number 7 is a hero I really didn't like or dislike at all. It just kind of was there in the cartoons that I watched. Never really got an appreciation for the depthness of her character until she got her own solo movie, and I'm like, hey, that's cool. I should check this out more. So I ended up started reading more comics after her solo movie. Okay, number 7 is Wonder Woman. And after the Wonder Woman movie in the Snyderverse, kind of got me interested in the character. So I started reading more of her comics. It ended up being more of the New 52 stuff. So I kind of enjoyed how they incorporated real life mythology in her character. I thought that was really cool, interesting. I have a little bit of a harder time, not identifying, relating with Wonder Woman. There's her being demigod in essence. Can't really relate to that. There's the Starking thing that not the same gender. So I'm like I can't. But I do find some of her characters and some of the emotional beats interesting and heartfelt, and I can kind of get with that sort of thing. And I also did realize while watching that movie and reading some more comics, she's not just a female Superman. So that was also definitely a really big thing for me. Like not liking these overpowered characters just kind of for the sake of being overpowered from the get go. That's kind of that is. Okay, number 6. I didn't really like him much growing up, but as I got older, he kind of grew on me. Beast Boy. Beast Boy's my number 7. I've always have liked his power set. The whole thing of only being able to turn into something he's seen, whether it's alien or human, alien or earthling. I'm earthling animals, these sorts of things. It's kind of a real cool thing. The show Teen Titans, his personality, like the 2003 one, it kind of grated on me a bit. I thought he was just too much of a goof, too much of a joking whatever. But the show Titans on Netflix, that kind of really made me think maybe a little bit different for Beast Boy, or reading some more of the new Teen Titans comics got me a different different view of Beast Boy. He kind of became the character I liked a little bit more. And Young Justice, I think that's where it kind of really showed me a different side of Beast Boy, and that's when I really started enjoying him as a character. The one thing about the new Justice, the Young Justice Beast Boy, I didn't exactly like too much, was the fact that his powers were kind of derived from Miss Martian. So I feel like that kind of tied his hands to Miss Martian a little bit, or even the Martians, which kind of, in a lot of ways, to me, I didn't like as much. But that's really my only kind of gripe with Beast Boy and the Young Justice. So the thing about it, that's not really, so that's not that big of a deal. Okay, now we're going to move on to top 5. Full disclaimer, one of these heroes is definitely dropping more in my rankings. I'm liking him less and less and less. But we're not going to be talking about him right away. Here we go. So we're going to talk about number 5. My number 5 favorite DC superhero is Starfire. Between watching the 2003 Teen Titans and Young Justice, and all of the Teen Titans related animated TV shows and movies, I've continued to like Starfire more and more. Her powers are really cool. Her backstory, I find, is kind of relatable, being dejected from your family for kind of your personality and stuff. And I just absolutely loved in the Young Justice, in Teen Titans Judas Contract, when they flash back to when Robin or Dick Grayson and Robin and Starfire meet, she kisses him just to learn the language to communicate, which I always thought was hilarious watching that. It was like, what a way to meet somebody, right? And the fact that her chemistry and Dick's chemistry, that having them together, it's like the ultimate power couple. And, it's not a couple in my mind that hurts either character, kind of builds on them more. So I think that's kind of cool. Yeah, so that's number 5. Now we're going to move on to number 4. Number 4, Batman. Batman was my favorite for a very, very long time. But as I've gotten older and, kind of gone through some stuff myself, I'm like, Batman continues to make less sense in his own stories overall. When you get characters like other that you get really that they keep being added to the mythos, I think Batman's actually kind of getting hurt by how long and how popular he's been, how long he's been going on, and Bruce Wayne Batman. This is what we're talking about here. I've always loved it, but his stories are always so. I always love his stories so much. Like they're always so intricate and interesting, and you get me thinking. So I'm like, it's hard to put him, make him go lower. But there's other characters I'm liking more that I'm finding more relatable, and all this sort of stuff. So I'm like, it's really a toss up. But maybe I'm just a basic white boy, liking Batman. Maybe I'm just kind of, I'm growing more in my like and stuff. So maybe that's what it is like. I'm not an edgy teenager anymore. I think Batman's just the coolest thing ever because he's edgy. So maybe that's got something to do with it. Okay, now we're going to move on to number 3. Number 3. As I've gotten older, I have found that I'm loving characters more and more that have a very defined, bold duality to them. And I really do believe Raven, which is my 3rd favorite DC superhero, really was the first character to get me thinking that way. Because you start scratching her character. She's half demon, half human. So there's that duality right there, and it's a very stark, defined duality. It's like human, good, demon, bad. It's like if you really want to look, and that duality, it's inner demons is something that I've really been liking a lot more as I've gotten older. And I think, Raven's definitely the one character that opened me to that the most. And you can't think of it because you see Raven a lot of times in media. She's meditating a lot. And you really think about it. How do you start self-reflection? You meditate on your thoughts and stuff. It's kind of it's a very relatable aspect if you can get around, her having an inner, but even then, we all have our own inner demons. And it's like, to trying to fight them and get over them is, it's a core to Raven's story, overcoming her own inner demons, and the demon's literally her father that she has sealed in her, in the crystal in her head. So I'm like, real cool character. Her abilities are mega awesome. It's like, and her having, relationship with that sort of stuff. And the whole relationship, not having great relationship with her dad, parents, kind of resonate. Not having great relationship with his parents is something that I can relate to. Okay, well, let's move on to my number 2. My number 2 is Nightwing. Seeing him in the animated Batman series, that 2003 Teen Titan, you get him a little bit of him there. For me, Nightwing is what Batman. He's the better Batman. That's kind of the way I look at it. Dick Grayson's my favorite Robin of all time. Just one of my favorite comic book characters of all time. Hence why he's number 2. There's for a long time my favorite characters were Batman and Nightwing. That's kind of how it was. And now Nightwing's gone down. Batman's gone down. Nightwing stayed at number 2. So I just kind of find the most relatable part to the whole Nightwing Batman thing is that you take your trauma and you make it into going to beat up and dressing up. That's kind of where I lose but losing someone close to you, that's something I can relate to. The cool thing about Dick Grayson, Nightwing, Robin, is no matter the trauma he goes through, he never lets it overwhelm him. He never lets it shape him in a negative way. He takes it. Okay, I had this trauma. Like even Joker, he even said he hates Dick Grayson because he was never able to corrupt that trauma. So I think that's the core to what makes Nightwing a better Batman than Bruce Wayne. He doesn't let the trauma corrupt him. And you see Batman, the trauma completely corrupted him to the point where he's now, doing what he's doing, taking kids with similar backstories to him and, bringing them into his army. It's the whole thing. Batman's a corrupted hero. That's and I think that's why a lot of people like him. Okay, we're going to move on to number 1. My number 1 favorite DC hero is Wally West. No matter if Wally is the Flash, the Kid Flash, he's just my favorite in whatever he's doing. Like my favorite Flash was Wally. I didn't know it was Wally till I started reading more comics. But the fact that even Wally West Flash, he's got all my favorite Flash stories. He does some of the craziest feats. He knows the Speed Force the best. And the fact that Wally actually takes over for Barry when Barry, dies in Infinite Crisis, and then he's a catalyst bringing him back too. It's like, it's a whole full story, sidekick to even better version of the hero, to bring back the original to redo the whole thing. It's like Flash can get very convoluted sometimes, Flash comics, But and the Kid Flash is also my favorite sidekick ever. So there's that. So this has been my list. So thanks for listening to me rant about my favorite DC superheroes. If you liked it, like the video, comment if you got something to tell me. Oh, you're so wrong about this and this and this. Let me know. I'm open to being shown new things in these characters. Maybe I can learn, read some more comics. Shuffle them around a little bit. Do all the YouTube things. Help me grow this channel. Show me what you guys want to see more of. What you guys think I could do better. Just hit it all in the comments. So this is Shadow Kage out. Bye.